to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Give me a second, my screen up. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975 of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the South River Board of Education was provided in the following manner. On January 15, 2025, the notice was delivered to the office of the South River Borough Clerk and posted at the Board of Education Administration Building. The notice was also faxed, mailed to the following newspapers: Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger. The notice was also posted at the South River Borough Clerk's office. Roll call, Mr. Rose.
Mr. Bazak. Here. Mr. Budson.
Here.
Mrs. Bush.
Mrs. Bush has been excused.
Mrs. Lau.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mr. Onwudaway.
Here.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Here.
Mrs. Young Yao.
Here.
Mrs. Urbanik.
She's been excused.
Shiza Hussein.
Here.
Nice to see you. Very good. Minutes?
So the minutes, we do have pre-meeting minutes, September 22nd, and the regular meeting minutes of September 25th.
Motion on reading of the minutes?
Move the meeting of this.
Bazak.
Mr. Bazak? Second. Sadowski? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Use of facilities.
Use of facilities, we have number 906, number 909, number 911, number 927, number 941, number 942, and number 943.
Anybody have anything on the use of facilities? Motion for the use of facilities?
Motion to move the use of facilities.
Ms. Lell?
Second.
Second, Ms. Sadowski? All in favor?
Aye.
Financial report, Ms. Lell?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby certifies that it is in receipt of the financial report, which indicates that no major account has been overexpended and that sufficient funds are available to meet the district's financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee recommends that the reports of the Board Secretary and Treasurer of School Monies for July 2025 be approved, and I so move.
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Sadowski? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Superintendent of Schools, monthly report. Dr. Searcher.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nielsen. I have several items today. I'll begin with a brief overview of my report, and then I'm going to turn it over to district administration for several presentations. I do want to announce that our educational annex is open with 2 Head Start preschool classes and 1 of our own district preschool classes. We had a successful opening and everybody is really enjoying the new space. So we're now open for about 2 weeks. And so far it's been really great for the children and the teachers. We did receive our CUSAC score report just this month, and we've scored well in the areas of fiscal management, where we received 100%, governance, which is all of our policies, board meeting procedures, budgeting, also at 100%, operations, which is all about data management, HIB incidents, student safety and health at 100% as well, and personnel, which really speaks to teacher certification, evaluation, professional development. We scored a 100%. In the area of instruction and program, we scored at 100% when it comes to compliance with our curriculum. And then we did receive an overall score of 79.3, which really speaks to a lot of different measures of student data that Dr. Trevisano is going to review today. I have a little bit of information here about registration and residency, reminding our community that we do have a residency office that's located over at the primary school in our modulars, but that we also have transition and support days to help families register for school, and those take place Tuesday and Thursdays from 5:30 to 7:30, and we have assistance in multiple languages as well. So if you need assistance with registration or any other school-related matter, please come to the transition and support nights. 21st Century is off to a really good start. We have 360 students enrolled in grades 3 to 12. This is over 150 more students than we had last year. So it's a really large program, and we still have a wait list of about 77 students who are interested in attending, and we're going to do our best to continue to open spots as they become available. On this board meetings agenda, you have some motions related to additional staffing for 21st Century, and as we approve more staffing, we can approve and expand more programs and accept more children in. So thank you for taking action on those items today. And then also on tonight's agenda, which I just closed up, we have a report on determining our grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, which is going to be presented by Mr. Matt Crouch. There he is. I couldn't see him. He's tucked away over there. Mr. Crouch, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Board and members of the community. So as Dr. Church said, this meeting,
That's off.
I apologize about that. Thank you very much for this opportunity to the board as well as the public. Tonight I'm going to go through the 24-25 self-assessment for determining our anti-bullying policies and grades. And I'm pleased with the numbers that we have to show you guys tonight. So what is this? A quick overview. We're required by the Commissioner of Education to show our efforts that we're making towards prohibiting bullying inside of the district. This assessment runs from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. It has 8 core elements that I'll be going over with you a little bit later on in this PowerPoint. And then it's done based on all the available documentation that we have from our school climate team, et cetera. So, first thing, what are we doing to try and strengthen our community climate and culture? Well, we're having our climate and culture specialists giving us monthly reports about the activities that they're doing. Also, the new change this year, they're in the classrooms teaching as well as working with all the students throughout the entire district. We have a positive postcard program, which is very, very well received. We have student advisory team, as well as we have multicultural celebrations that are going on throughout the different buildings to celebrate different ethnicities and backgrounds. What else are we doing? Well, we have MTSS, which was originally our Masonic Model INRS program, but we have really moved more towards a more comprehensive MTSS program that will help us focus on students who have needs and help them get the services that they need. We have a student assistance counselor who's helping out with this matter, as well as PTA is looking at using Tools of the Mind, which is a wonderful SEL program. Okay. We have the ESS program as well as Rutgers Behavioral with us in the district. ESS, we have a full-time clinician who works here in the high school to work with students that are Tier 2 and Tier 3. We also have a RCS program, Restorative Community Service, which is taking any student who has trouble and instead of using punitive measures, using a positive reinforcement to get them reconnected with the community. And then Rutgers Behavioral also has a full-time clinician over at the middle school, which is split amongst the buildings as needed. We continue to offer services to the entire community through Care Solace. If you're unfamiliar with what Care Solace is, it gives anyone access to mental health care, regardless of status of insurance, financial need, etc. So it's a really great resource for us to get people connected with the help that they need on a regular basis. We still have the therapy dogs coming into the schools, which is really cool. The kids get really excited. It's just nice to have the animals around people. And then, as I said before, we were spoke briefly about the climate and culture team, who are continuously working on different initiatives to try and help build culture and reduce any instances of HIB. So, what are we doing for prevention? We have a Say Something trainings for all the students that has taken place, where we regularly hold grade level assemblies, as well as whole school read alouds in the lower grades. We have all of our teachers have been receiving Nurture Park professional development, as well as parents are regularly receiving weekly newsletters with resources. And Effective School Solutions is also doing outreach with the community and individual families who need the services. So this is where we get to the fun part, the report itself. So there are 8 different categories, and I know you can all read, but I'll just kind of quickly go through it. HIB programs, trainings, staff instruction and training programs for staff, curriculum and instruction for HIB-related information and skills, HIB personnel, school-level HIB incident reporting and procedures, HIB investigation procedures, as well as HIB reporting. If you get a 0, you're not doing a good job. If you get a 3, you're exceeding what the state expects. Last year, we had all of our buildings above 70, which is excellent. The numbers are excellent, but we did see room for improvement in both the middle school as well as the elementary school. And we did see that growth this year. The numbers have gone up. Why? Because we implemented more programs. We looked more carefully at the rubric to ensure that we were meeting the standards. So I don't know if you've ever read the rubrics before. I can provide you one if you would like, but it is extensive. And or going down it. We wanted to make sure that we hit all of those. And that's how we were able to look at it and be able to increase our numbers and growth. Another thing that you'll see here is that we now have the ELC, or the Early Learning Center, attached to this. We did not have that last year, so this is our first year with them, but we're going to continue to help them grow and move forward and see where we can go from there. So I wanted to show you this because I think it's very useful. You can see that the high school stayed the same. The middle school went up substantially. The EOS went up a decent amount. The preschool stayed the same, and then we have the new numbers to work with for the ELC. So what is this? All schools exceed the requirements in all 8 buildings and reporting. All exceeded. There is accurate investigating and reporting procedures, effective programs offered to students, and then we have ample opportunities to reflect on the programs that we're running and make further enhancements. My recommendations. We're going to increase data collection as well as data analysis so that we can make those changes that we needed, much like we did last year to see the numbers grow in middle school and the elementary. We're going to coordinate more district-wide programs, and we're going to expand the support teams in the buildings as needed. As of right now, we're in a pretty good place, but if we see the need, we'll continue. And that's my report. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Crouch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time this evening.
And a connection to some of what Mr. Crouch just shared is one of your other agenda items for this evening, which is to approve 2 of our staff members for a parent training related to anti-bullying, HIB, and so on. So that's on your agenda for tonight. Next, what I would like to do is point out that item 3.3 under the superintendent's report is to approve those NJQSAT scores. And then I'll turn it over to Dr. Trevisano, who will review item 3.4, which is our district data presentation.
Good evening. I promised Dr. Zurcher I would keep the presentation to under 45 minutes, so just keep, no, I'm just kidding, not 45 minutes. Be a little challenging at this point. Anyway, this is part 2 of the data presentation. If you recall, we did the GPA as well as AP score results over the summer. So this will be the part 2 under the reporting that we are required to do for all standardized tests. This report will take into account 3 tests. One will be the NJSLA in the different content areas. The other one will be the access test, which is where we measure proficiency of our language learners. And then finally, we'll go over some results for the dynamic learning maps, which is more customized to some of our more specialized learners. So I'll start off. Hold on. There it goes. All right, we always start off with a basic understanding of what the student learning assessments are. There are 3 categories: English language arts, math, and science. Each one of them measures competencies in those different academic content areas. The science exam is a little bit more specific, where it's only given in grades 5, 8, and 11. The language arts exam is given in grades 3 through 9, as well as our graduation performance assessment that you already had that results. And then mathematics is also given grades 3 through 8, as well as algebra and geometry for our 9th grade students that are in geometry. All right, so I figured I'd start with a summary, a basic overview of where our current performance is for our students. We group them in students that are not meeting or partially meeting expectations, those approaching expectations, and those who are meeting and exceeding. Again, I wanted to give you the total number of students that were in each category, as well as the percentage of students per category. Now, once again, I always have this caveat, because there are people that actually will make a comment to me. They may or may not add up to 100% due to rounding. So if you do the math and it adds up to 99%, it's not because I made a mistake, it's solely because of the rounding errors. Same thing if you get to 101%. So I just figured I'd give that as a small caveat. When reporting the data, I decided to do it as language arts and all the demographics, math and the demographics, as well as science and the demographics, and I believe you have a copy of the report available for you. There. All right, so the first slide does indicate all the South River reporting as compared to the state average, total number of students in the district, as well as the 5 different categories, the percent of students not meeting expectations through those who are exceeding expectations. There is a comparison to the state results as well, which you can see that we disaggregated by grade level all the way down. Total tested in district does continue to fluctuate based on population, based on students in and out. The one thing with the language arts, students who are multilingual learners who are in country for less than 1 year do not test in the language arts. So therefore, when we get to straight numbers, the number of students that test in language arts will be different than the number of students that test in mathematics. I just wanted to point that out to you as well. The next 3 slides do break down the data by demographic areas such as race, and then program, and then gender. And I apologize for the very, very, very small font. I didn't do that intentionally. It's just because there's a lot of data. As we review this data, and again, this will be available on the website tomorrow morning. As soon as I get to work, I will post it. There are some areas that you'll notice that have populations that are less than 10, and then they are blanked out with not applicable, because we do have to keep student records private, as any numbers under 10 become identifiable potentially by students. So we do not report those specific instances. But this will break it out: elementary, your middle, and then your high school, by race, and then by program. Program is your language learners, followed by free reduced lunch, 504s, special education, general education, and then we again put it together in all students by building. The next slide does indicate by gender, female, male, all students, again broken down, and the percent tested in each of the grades. This again will be available because it's kind of small. I use what I say. Anyway, the next slide does indicate our performance in mathematics. So our performance in mathematics as schools, the data was represented differently here in this reporting year as it was in prior years. If you remember my report in prior years, our middle school numbers were skewed because the Algebra 1 results, the students that take Algebra 1 in the middle school, were combined with our high school numbers. This year we were able to disaggregate the numbers and pull all of our middle school Algebra 1 students and separate them from our high school Algebra 1 students, giving a true picture of our middle school performance versus our high school performance in mathematics. Again, the next 3 slides as they were, this is your by grade band and comparison to the state in each of the 5 measuring categories, not meeting through exceeding expectations. The separation here between excuse me, the Algebra 1 middle school and the Algebra 1 high school does allow us to delineate and, again, like I said, identify performance of true middle school students versus the middle school students who take the high school Algebra 1 test. There we go. So we disaggregate data again by first by race, and then we take a look at it by program, same programs as we did for language arts, and then finally, whoops, there we go, by gender as well. I just want to reiterate that your numbers that you'll see, the raw numbers in mathematics, will be different than the raw numbers that you see in language arts when you do a side-to-side comparison. The last test under NJSLA that I do, is a science exam. The science exam is measured in 4 categories versus 5. The first 2 categories are below proficiency, near proficiency, and then there's proficient and advanced proficient. The one thing I do want to identify is with it, or point out to you specifically, is that this test is given for science placement, for science achievement. At this point, the state has not used this as any kind of graduation requirement, but it's really more so identifying proficiency in the different sciences as the students move through, which is why I believe they do it by grade band versus by individual grade. As I did before, they are disaggregated by race, and then by program, and then again by gender. Now, more specifically, I wanted to get to the following slide, and the following slide is an annual comparison. I apologize for going back and forth. It must be the clicker thing, or batteries. Anyway, I wanted to highlight a few things on this. This is your annual comparison, and I like to do the annual comparison because I feel that it does provide a picture of performance over time as compared from last year to this year. And a few things I'd like to point out here is in language arts, our middle school did increase the percentage of students meeting or exceeding expectations, receiving a 4 or 5. While the high school did drop, and we have to acknowledge that, our middle school did in fact increase. And in language arts, in specific, grade 7, the percentage of students increased by over 7% overall. So our grade 7 students performed better than they had the prior year. As we compare these numbers to the state, I have additional comparisons here. Grade 5 and grade 7 improved results at a higher percentage than the state reported results. So what that means is if you compare last year's state average for grade 5 and grade 7, while those scores increased a specific percent, our scores increased at a higher percent. So for argument's sake, the state score in grade 7 language arts, their performance increased by 3.1% overall, we increased by 7.7%. So we are showing a better percentage of improvement. In mathematics, same thing, I'll point out mathematics over there. We have a significant difference in our high school population. You'll notice that. That does come because we then finally disaggregated our data and took our middle school Algebra 1 out. The high school exam the high school results do combine geometry and Algebra 1, where our geometry students are going to be our accelerated students through middle school, now taking geometry as a freshman. Grade 6 students improved by over 7% as compared to 2024 results. And in fact, our grade 6 mathematics improved at a higher percentage than the state. The state increased by 3.5%. Our grade 6 went up by 7.4% in terms of growth, which I think is something to highlight. In addition, our high school Algebra 1, while the growth compared to the state is still about 1.5%, our Algebra 1 high school scores across the state decreased by 0.5%. So arguably, we're still 2% differential there. The geometry scores across the state increased by 7%. We increased by 11.8% in terms of performance. So there are some things I wanted to highlight there. Our science numbers, as we note, some of the science numbers are not necessarily where we want them to be. However, if we compare the grade 5, 8, and 11 students that took the exam in 2004 as compared to 2005, all 5 grades did increase, percentage increase in their pass rate. So that's, again, something that I think is something that we wanted to highlight. We move on to the Access for ELLs. Access for ELLs, again, is the exam that measures their proficiency in learning English. Oh, there we go. The students tested on WIDA historically. We wanted to identify that. And you'll note, I think I made a point of this a few years ago, that following COVID, the number of students that we bring into the district that have a language other than English as a native language has increased. You'll note the increase continues, and in fact, we're comparable to last year. However, the demographics are actually, oh, I'm sorry, not the demographics, but the age of the students that are coming to us as language learners is significantly different than it has been in the past. You'll note that in the primary school in 2024, we had 96 students who were tested. Last year, we had 162 students. So that is a significant difference of students that were tested on the WIDA access last year. If we look at the elementary school and the K-5 schools, not just elementary, but K-5, I gave 3 years of data. The data in black is our 2025 results. The data in blue is 24, and the data in red is 23, and that was provided for comparison. In examining the data, there's an increase in percentage of students in grade 1 through 5 listed in the developing stage. Developing is level 3. We also see an increase in percentage of students in grade 3 through 5 in the expanding percent. The expanding percent is what we typically refer to as 4, 4.5. Those are the students that are nearing the exit stage for the ESL program. At the high school and the middle school, we did the same percentage, again, same comparison. Again, black, blue, and red does identify the 3 different years, and we did that so that way it's easy to compare. Things I want to highlight here is that students in grades 7 through 12 were listed in the developing stage. There was an increase of students in the developing stage, and this becomes important because many of our students do come to us from other countries, and they enter in the entering or the emerging stage. So their language proficiency is not as high as would qualify to exit ESL. In this case, our developing stage, and you'll notice in grades 7 through 12, did increase, and there was an increase in the percentage of students in grades 11 and 12 listed as expanding. So again, these are your students that are nearing exit. They've been in the program for a few years and nearing exit for ESL. There we are. The dynamic learning maps, again, these are for students who have more significant learning disabilities or cognitively impaired. They are assessed in emerging, approaching, at target, or advanced. Results are indicated here. What I do actually enjoy about these results is that our younger students, many of them, or many of the assessments that were taken by our younger students, they were at target or advanced. So that does really highlight our younger learning program. And finally, our high school graduation rate. As always, the class of 2025 graduation rate at the state is unavailable. I find it interesting that the graduation rate for 25 will be available in 26. But it's a reporting, it's a comparison. Again, typically we do score somewhat above the state high school graduation rate. And last year, our number of graduates did decrease from 193 to 158. So, conclusions and next steps. That's kind of where I wanted to highlight right now. A few very, very good and interesting things that we started to develop this year. At our K-8 levels, we applied for an awarded grant to begin the position of a literacy coach. It's a very exciting opportunity for us that we were able to retain the services of the literacy coach who will work with our teachers and refine instructional practices to help our students learn reading and writing at a better pace. Our academic support teams providing interventions. We've refocused effort and capacity in identifying Tier 1 interventions. And Tier 1 interventions are really working with students with their challenges in the classroom well before we go and we try to put them into an intervention referral service or try to refer them to academic support. We're really trying to provide more and more support in the classroom with students before they move to a different area. We just purchased a new literacy series, and the new literacy series is actually more of an interdisciplinary literacy series. As a curriculum was written for our K-5, what we can note is that some of our units arguably are narrative. So our third graders are doing literacy based in a science topic or in a social studies topic. So it really is more of a blended curriculum. We really enjoy that. Teachers selected it after much review and implementation. We're now revised our INRS process for students in K-12. It streamlines services and it retains data and it's instantly reviewable. And then finally, based on the new legislation, all students in K-3 will be screened for literacy 3 times, if I remember correctly, it's 3 times a year, but it helps us to provide evidence-based intervention at a much, much earlier age. Any questions?
Any questions, members? No. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, and with that, I conclude my superintendent's report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zercher. Motion on Dr. Zercher's report.
Motion to move the superintendent's report.
Mr. Bezak first. Second.
Second.
Ms. Young Yao, second.
Okay.
We're going to go to reception of visitors, seeing that there's, no,
All in
I'm
favor?
sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Chris. Reception of visitors, seeing that no one's in the audience, we can skip over that for tonight, and we're going to go to the consent. Go, you want to go to committee reports first?
Yeah.
Okay, committee reports first, Mr. Budzen, athletics.
Looking at the agenda, and luckily the girls' soccer team is doing well.
There they are, good for them. Under buildings and grounds, we have nothing to report tonight. You can see the report in Dr. Zercher's report. Finance, Ms. Lell.
Thank you. The agenda includes approval of the 26-27 budget calendar, which is where it's upon us, and several contracts supporting academic and operational initiatives for the school year. Key items include agreements for district security cameras, the ALEX math program, and literacy instruction. Think Circa. Additional contracts cover home instruction services, field trips to the Liberty Science Center, and chair rentals for graduation ceremonies, and financial actions such as tax requisition and line item transfers are also being approved. So I can read my statement? Okay. So the Finance Committee, after review of all items on this month's agenda and upon recommendations of the superintendent, recommends approval of the items 8.1 through 8.9 with additional item 8.10 on the agenda as listed, including routine items. And that is all I have for finance.
Thank you. Would you continue with instruction, please?
Yes, okay. As Ms. Bush does, I would like to do some key highlights from Dr. T's report. So the high school is expanding its dual enrollment opportunities through partnerships with Middlesex College, the University of Delaware, and Kean University, enabling more students to earn the potential for college credits at reduced costs. The district also received an ESCNJ grant to fund tuition reimbursement for 25 staff members pursuing advanced certificates in high-need areas such as science, counseling, and literacy. And recent professional development sessions focused on AI integration in classrooms, early literacy screening for K-3 students, and shared mathematics instructional philosophy, all supporting continuous improvement in teaching and learning. The agenda itself includes approvals for professional development as well as field trips for students. Additionally, the district accepted 2 beautiful donations, a piano for the elementary middle school and a contribution from the Verizon Foundation to support our high school robotics club. And just as an aside, everything that, if you piece all the pieces together between the 2 presentations and the summary, it all makes sense that we're moving towards that literacy approach, and we're moving towards that improvement of the testing and the scores with the district, along with like our community and our teachers, like as a unified vision. So that is all I have. So the statement, the instruction committee, after review of all the items on this month's agenda and upon recommendation of the superintendent, recommends approval of the items 9.1 through 9.5 with additional item 9.6 on the agenda as listed, including routine items. Done.
Thank you. Under negotiations, we have nothing to report, right? Nothing. Very good. Policy and legislation, Mr. Umudaway.
There are no items on the agenda today.
Thank you, sir. Safety and risk management, Mrs. Sadowski.
Skippy one.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, Mr. Bezak, Human Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. The Human Resources Committee, after review of all items on this month's agenda and upon recommendation of the superintendent, recommends approval of items 12.1 through 12.6 with additional items 12.7 through 12.10 on the agenda as listed, including routine items. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Safety and Risk Management, Mrs. Sadowski.
Thank you. The Safety and Risk Management Committee, after review of all items on this month's agenda and upon recommendation of the superintendent, recommends approval of item 13.1 with no additional items on the agenda as listed, including routine items.
Thank you, Ms. Sadowski. We'll now go to Mr. Rosa for the consent resolution.
The South River Board of Education, by means of a consent resolution, adopt various resolutions of a routine and non-controversial nature at one time, and whereas the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the said Board of Education in whole, as if the same were individually acted upon, and those are the Superintendent of Schools, 3.1 to 3.4, under Finance, 8.1 through 8.10, under Instruction, 9.1 through 9.6, under Human Resources, 12.1 to 12.10, under Safety and Risk Management, 13.1, under Residency, 16.1.
Motion to move the consent resolution.
Motion to move the consent resolution.
Mr. Bazak,
Second.
Mrs. Sadowski. Roll call, all in favor? Either, all in favor?
Aye.
And we will now return to committees, school board, that's me. We just had a brief discussion in closed session, so everybody's up to date on that. PTA liaison, Mrs. Sadowski.
Just a couple of items. At the ELC primary PTAs, they are planning Queen Wars to start October 22nd. I believe it's going on for a week. Fall Frolic is coming up in early November. Elementary school PTA is planning a Halloween movie night on October 24th, and they are hosting the book fair at the end of October.
Thank you. Residency, Ms. Young, excuse me for passing over you there.
No, that's fine, thank you. The Residency Committee, after review of all items on this month's agenda and upon recommendation of the superintendent, recommends approval of the item 16.1 with no additional items on this agenda as listed, including routine items.
Thank you. South River Public Library liaison, Mr. Woodson.
And this Saturday, we're having a read to the therapy dog at 11 a.m. And the trunk or treat this year is at Rikowski instead of the library because of parking concerns. The adult craft is October 21st at 6 p.m. There's an arts and crafts club November 12th at 3 p.m. Mindful Breathing meditation class is November 13th. And their annual book sale is November 3rd to November 6th, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Woodson. Anything under legislation, Mr. Woodson? Okay. Student Board Representative, Shiza Hussain. Anything tonight?
Is this working? The first topic that you guys were talking about, 21st Century, I just wanted to add that it really is a fantastic program you guys implemented because I'm a student athlete, and I think the 21st Century program, I think it started either when I was a freshman or sophomore, and because of that, I also try to be on top of all my classes and academics, so it gives me a good amount of extra 30 minutes to maybe an hour just to kind of catch up on my work. And some of my teachers also, they also sit kind of in the corner, so I also get to ask them for further work, and this has helped a lot of my classmates as well. They also find that 21st Century is a great time for them to kind of relax and get their minds off of a heavy school day, but it's also a great alternative that can allow them to kind of do better with their grades and also kind of bond with their teachers. So I love that program, and I just hope that we can continue to implement good initiatives like this that can help students kind of relax but also be on top of their work.
Thank you. It's great to hear that, praise from the student body. Thank you very much for that. Again, Dr. Zurcher's initiatives, we can only say so much. We keep moving forward on the board here. Mr. Crouch, everybody, you guys do great work. It comes right from the students' mouths. You guys are doing great work, and we really appreciate that. Anyone have any old or new business? Nothing. Attorney's report.
For executive session.
Okay. Payment of bills?
Me. The Finance Committee recommends that all bills presented, having been certified by the School Business Administrator Board Secretary, be paid as listed, and I so move.
Second.
Sadowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Again, seeing no visitors in the audience tonight, we are going to move to executive session, closed session. Thank you, Mr. Crouch. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. T.
Dr. T. Oh, Dr. T, you're sitting over there in the corner.